Where is he?
Where is he? He's not.
But the people here are one of us. I mean, I didn't get to take as many photos as I wanted. I would have put Jairus on screen. I would have put Lee Lefevre on screen. I would have put a lot of people in this audience on screen as one of us. But you know, Chris and Amber Naz and yeah, well, it's an iPhone. Can somebody else tell Apple to make a camera? And Josh. So I mean, there's all these people. Tack Anderson. There's all these people. And that's a dog in a washroom.
Did it just get washed? Like, what's the deal? Is it on delicate, or what is it called?
I don't know.
This is a really bad picture of me.
It's a very bad picture of Julien. This is from the first ever pod camp. So imagine this. It's our first ever event. This guy that none of us know, who sort of basically hijacked part of a ride down from Montreal with a bunch of other friends, shows up. He's full of energy. No one much knows him, although he has this like big history of one of the original podcasters and all this. And he's just really enthusiastic and energetic, and no one really gets why. But it's funny, they sort of before and the after of this, really, because
it's like all the people that came into PodCamp, eventually, it's like something happens when it's the first of something. Like, this isn't the first Gnomedex, obviously, but we just went to the first 140 conference that Jeff Pulver ran.
Right.
And there's something about being there at the beginning that it's somehow like it creates a very tight bond with something, with all the people that are involved. So if you can be at the beginning of some kind of creation of a group, then all of a sudden, by default, you become one of the people that's like the center of it. You didn't do anything, you were just there at the beginning. So it's like 12-sided die, insider language, right? Some people nodded their heads, and I saw you.
I have the music this time today.
Thank you, yeah, exactly.
So listen,
some people don't recognize it, and if they don't recognize it, that's kind of like insider-outsider thing we're talking about.
Who knows Weezer? Who knows this song? Woo! So the first time I ever heard that song, I freaked out in my room. I was like, oh my God, I've got Dungeon Master's Guide, I've got 12-sided die, I've got Kitty Pryde and Nightcrawler too. That was like, that was better than a porno magazine. I was like, they get me, they get me. And that feeling of insider language. Runners in the room? Oh, better. We did this at Affiliate Summit, one person.
Yeah, okay.
I get that we're all nerds and we have absolutely no health. But can you fake it? And I said, you know, if I say 26-2, you know exactly.
Calm down, dude.
I'm really excited. Language, though, finding the language, insider language, all knowledge is vocabulary became something we learned matters. So if you learn the language, it's a line from Tricky Song, Christian Sands. If you master the language of the people that you're trying to interact with, it changes the game entirely. Do not talk about your world-class, groundbreaking, next-generation, Web 2.0, rounded corner bullcrap anymore. Talk to the people like people and talk to them in their language.
I have no idea what you just said.
I don't know. I said it fast on purpose. So I have the pleasure of owning like the worst ever picture of Mike Arrington. And secondarily to that, I like the fact that Scoble's looking like, what the hell are you saying? What are you saying, man? Steve Garfield looks like he's about to explode. And Jeff's just waiting for him to stop talking. Jeff Pulver, who's in the audience, is a huge inspiration for some of the ideas in the book, and one of them related to this Archimedes effect is leverage. Always take what you've won, always take the good thing that you've found success in, and leverage it to the next game. We said all victories are chips. If you always think of this as chips in a poker game, bring those to the next table and bring that next thing up. And this is really your chapter.
You should have put that expression in the book, by the way, which you
we should have. We should write a second book called Trust Agents, Everything We Should Have Wrote.
Oh yeah, so this is funny. So George Soros on the left and Andrew Barron on the right. He's one of us, he's not, but they're two examples of great ability to leverage. You know, somebody who's been able to get to the top of kind of like the web space, or was at least for a little while, and who was able to do it just by leveraging the existing things that he had. And that's something that some people aren't great at doing, but if they get good at it, you know, they become the George Soroses of the world. He made $2 billion in one day by shorting the British pound in 1992. This is, I mean, that's one very obvious example of leverage. But then when you understand, like, everything is chips, like we were saying, it's like take the chips from the game that you were playing here, move them over somewhere else where they matter, you know?
It's continuous improvement, absolutely. It's continuous improvement. Leverage in the sense of, don't just get in the game and keep playing the game. That you were on Twitter is not cool enough. That you're doing something with Twitter might be cooler. Now that's really judgmental, so do whatever the hell you want. Actually, Google "you're doing it wrong," and I'm getting closer to the top of owning that sentence. But truly, truly leverage is an important thing. I mean, how can nerds inherit the earth? And yet, I think it's really fascinating to think this is a guy who was borrowing time off of mainframes and got all the way to TED where he was allowed to shove a bunch of mosquitoes into the crowd.
Mosquitoes with malaria.
Which would have scared the bejesus out of me, period.
Yeah.
I would have thought a scorpion would be scary, but mosquitoes aren't.
The quote when he said it, which was amazing, it was like, why should just poor people experience this? And he just sort of threw out malaria just a mosquito. Freeze this person. We're trying to blow them away. He's just great at it, you know? People that know how to do this, we have shoe money over here. Yeah, I mean, just people, regular people, not just superstars, not just super rich people. Everyone should be experiencing the ability to take one thing. My favorite example for this is, I used to be on Sirius satellite radio, and this is a big deal to anyone who has not been on Sirius satellite radio. But once you have been, you know it's like whatever, it doesn't really mean anything, but you can use that just to be like, yeah, I used to be on Sirius satellite radio. People freak out and all of a sudden they take you seriously. Everybody has the ability to do that with something, you know? And the ability to do that is something that you should take and sort of, help enhance whatever it is that you're working on.
And take the thing you're doing well and move it to the next thing. That's the important part. Don't ever rest on your laurels. That's how we all sink under. Agent Zero is a whole thing, whole talk about networking and about people who do a really great job of connecting people together. You are in and amongst one of the best Agent Zeros in the world's home base. Gnomedex. Chris Perillo is a great example. This is truly, I don't owe him anything. I'm already on his stage, so I don't have to say anything nice. But really, what Chris has done here, I mean, the whole idea of building relationships and all that, he fully understands that building great networks of powerful and interesting people is where the game is at.
The expression that you use, which I think is, this is actually, I'll just tell everybody, I think one of your great strengths is the ability to come up with phrases that are like metaphors and to simplify what a very complex subject is and just like bring it down and like that's the phrase that we need. And what you said for Agent Zero, which I think is amazing, is be at the elbow of every deal or of every interaction. You don't have to be the person that's in the interaction, you just have to be between the people, just like go ahead, put yourself at the center of the network and then you enhance everybody else's network as a result. Be not only the group, tribes, in Dunbar's number, they say that at 150 people, that's the number of people you can have interpersonal tight relationships with. But what if you are connected with many 150s? If you're doing that, then at that point, you are the connector between several networks, and as a result of that, you are the center of everything, just like Chris is.
So Agent Zero is a real leverage trick in its own right. One of the things I like about the book that I wish I'd say happened with a great more masterful planning, but did not, was that these things dovetail nicely. Hi, I didn't even see you sneak in, Brian. Good to see you. Liz Strauss is at the elbow of every deal. Liz Strauss loves connecting people. Liz is right there.
Hey.
Next to Buzz. Buzz also connects people to people. There's a lot of people in this room who know this inherently, but it turns out it matters. It's like when really big celebrity musicians bring up the next generation and bring them on the stage. That is more important than being cool. Please just drive that into